Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Obviously you can probably tell by the title what this video is about. I've gone to start this video so many times. Like, there's been so many days that I thought, right, I'm gonna do it today, and I've talked myself out of it. Whether it's a big reason or just, oh, my camera hasn't got enough battery, or I don't really look very nice today. And as you can tell, like, today I don't look at all. Like, I've got no makeup on at all or anything like that, but like, I just sat on my sofa and I thought, do you know what, if I don't do it now, I'm not gonna ever do it. Now this is just something that I never ever thought that I would talk about. I feel like some things are best left kept like unsaid, private life, like not everybody needs to know what's going on in your life. But obviously from the start of my journey, from being on, you know, like Teen Mum UK and building up a following and everything, like a lot of you have been with me from the very start, and you know about all my relationships, you know about everything. And obviously I was in a relationship, and when we broke up, people were messaging me saying, like, I don't understand, like, you look so happy and things like that. And it's like, wow, I really do share all the good, but nobody would ever know the bad. You'd never put on, you know, Instagram on me and my boyfriend had an argument today or anything like that. But this is why I feel like Instagram can be such a toxic place sometimes, because it is just built of good. And so if you are in a bad place and you go onto Instagram and all you see is happy relationships, people happy with their bodies, people happy with in whatever way of life, yes, it's really nice and it's lovely to see people doing good and being happy, but at the same time that can really drag you down. And so, you know, obviously I should never thought I would ever share this, but what's brought me to share this is people would call me, like, I don't really like using the term, but an influencer, which, like, I influence people, whether it's like what I'm doing, what I'm wearing, what makeup I use, what products I'm using. And so if I'm influencing people in all the good, people message me and say, we look up to you. And so this subject is just so, like, I find it very hard to talk about, as you can probably tell, but at the same time, like, my following is 96% women and young girls, and domestic violence is just a huge, like, unspoken about subject, and I just feel like, for the exact reasons why, like, I never spoke about it, other girls don't, and I just thought, do you know what? I influence people for loads of other things. Why would I not share my story, as hard as it would be for me to do? That might just help one person, like just one person. If I helped one person by speaking out, which I feel like in a way might make me feel better as well. I've seen some certain, like, people on Instagram and things like that have been through similar things and they speak out about it, and I just look up to them and think, you're so strong. And also at the same time, like, it's crazy that they helped me when I was going through what I was going through, and I was following these people that genuinely speak so openly about what's happened to them, and you know, ways to deal with it, ways to handle it, ways to overcome it. I looked at those points and thought, oh yeah, like, and even if I didn't act on them straight away, it was in my brain. And so I feel like, yeah, and if any of you are watching this and you are in you know, like a abusive relationship, I'm just going to put some points at the end, and I'm going to put, like, links below as well for people, like charities that can help, and things like that. But I think the biggest thing I can say to people is to talk to someone. I feel like I'm just going to explain my story and say what happened to me, and yeah, with that obviously I'll go off on points as well. But basically, so I met my ex-boyfriend online. So I'm obviously not going to name him for obvious reasons, but I met him online, and he lived 2 hours away. And so when I met my boyfriend, it was like I was spoiled beyond you could ever imagine. Like, spoiled. We'd go for dinner and he'd pay for the whole bill, and it'd be really expensive, and I'd be like, wow, like, it was like I had the whole relationship, I can explain it as, is that I had two different lives. I had my life with him and I had my life with Malia. They never came together, really. And I could probably count on one hand how many times he was around Malia. But yeah, they were never really around each other. My life was very separate. So on the days that Malia would be at her dad's, I would then go up to see him. I would drive 2 hours to go and see him. And yeah, the relationship started off great. Like, it was it was a very showy relationship. We were never not out for dinner. We were never not going out for drinks. We were never not planning to go away together. And it was just, yeah, at the start it was amazing. Obviously I didn't know him or anyone around him, because obviously he was not from around where I live, so I didn't know anything about him. I didn't know his background or anything like that. But yeah, so then I think maybe about 4 months into the relationship, like, cracks started to show. But it's like the whole way through I knew that things weren't right, and the way our relationship was not right, and it was not healthy, and it was not normal. But I would just ignore it. I would just always ignore it. I'd be like, So like, even just little comments started with like the sort of tops I was wearing, and it would be like, oh, I don't want you wearing that top. And, you know, just little comments. And I can remember the day of, by the way, if I cry in this, like, I am fine. It's just hard for me to talk about, but I feel like I'm doing it for good. So I remember one day, so me and him met in February, I think it was, and then in April it was one of my friend's birthdays, and I went out, and I was wearing a skirt that was like, it had laces all up the side, so like you couldn't really wear pants with it, but I had pants on, I just wore them anyway, and I put a picture up, and then I went out for dinner, and about an hour later I got a call from him, and he was so angry, and he was like, I cannot believe you would do that to me, like what girlfriend would ever go out in a skirt like that? That's absolutely disgusting, get home and get changed. And I would just be like, I would just not know what to do. I'd be like, oh my god, like, he's so angry with me. And then I think the more I sort of let him tell me what to do, the worse it got. And I don't know, I feel like it's hard to understand, because I sound so stupid saying it now, and some of you might think, no, you don't sound stupid, but I feel like I do. I felt like he was so controlling towards me because of how much he loved me. That was the bottom line of it. I felt like he just loved me. I just thought he loved me so much that he didn't want any other man to see my legs. He said to me, like, your friends go out dressed like that because their boyfriends don't care about them, but I love you so much and you're mine, so why would I want another man to see what I see? And at the time I was like, okay, that's so true. Like, yeah, he must love me so much that he doesn't want me going out like that. And then I got my surgery, and I feel like I got a little bit more confident. And I definitely 100% got my surgery for me, and I'm so glad I got it, and I didn't regret it. But he never once said to me, don't get your surgery, like, you're perfect the way you are. He was encouraging me, and I think I still would have got it regardless if I was with him or not. But at the time, like, I look back and think, wow, like, why couldn't have, like, surely he should have been like what my friends and my family were like saying, you don't need surgery. And I guess after that, maybe I started wearing more like low cut tops. And by this point, our relationship was crazy because it didn't last very long. It lasted 10 months. But it felt like a lifetime. Like, it didn't feel like we'd only been together 10 months. And it got to the point where, like, he would say to me, like, I couldn't go out with my friends if any single boys were going. So if, for example, my friends were going out with their boyfriends and my friends' boyfriends were going, I couldn't then go because there were single boys. So he would ring me about 20,000 times a day, and I would have to, like, obviously say where I was. One time I went for my friend's birthday. We went to Butlins, so we went to like an over 18s weekend, and he said to me, I want you to send me a picture to show me whether you've shaved or not, because if you shaved, you're obviously planning to cheat on me. And I think my friends started picking up on the way he was, and I don't think they really wanted to say much at the time because they thought I was happy, and at the time, I'm not going to lie, I thought I was happy. Yeah, okay, he was more controlling than my friends' boyfriends, but it wasn't, I thought it was because he loved me, basically. I just thought it was because he loved me. And he would go through my phone, like all of the normal, like, sort of controlling traits he would have. Like, he wouldn't want me to ever go out with my friends unless he was there, and I would just listen to him. I'd be like, yeah, like, okay, well, I won't go out, because he'd say, like, that's unfair if you go out without me. And it was just, it got more and more controlling as time went on. And then it was my birthday, and my best friend at the time was living in London, and so I went on the Friday. I drove to his, and then I got the train, because, yeah, I got the train into London because it was close, and me and my friend went out for drinks, and we were just sat in a bar, like, on the Thames. I think it was like a Sagonetis, and a woman came around with, like, shot glasses, like, do anyone want shots? And I was like, oh no, I don't want one. And my friend was like, come on, it's your birthday. And these boys that were like literally just next to us or behind us were like, oh, we'll get you a shot for your birthday. And then we were just sort of speaking to them probably for about 10 minutes. And I can't remember how we got into the conversation of it, but one of the boys said that his mum was like a surgeon in Marbella. And I said, I had my surgery in Marbella, and I showed him my surgeon. And that was it. And they were just genuinely lovely boys that I personally think if you're in a relationship, you should be able to speak to anybody. Like, you shouldn't be able to be like, no, don't speak to me, I've got a boyfriend, as long as that conversation isn't going any further. You can't be completely shut off from the world. But yeah, so that was that. And then he drove into London to pick me up, and my friend said to me a couple of days later, like, he was so rude because he walked into her flat to like meet me, and he was like, what are you wearing? Like, that, what are you wearing? Your bum's basically hanging out, your boobs are hanging out. And didn't even really say hello to my friend, and this was the first time he was meeting her. And so we got in the car and we went to drive back to his, and it was all a bit of a blur because I feel like I was always on edge around him, and I knew that if he ever found out that I'd spoken, even just spoken hello to a boy in the bar, like, he would go absolutely crazy. And I was on my phone, and I think I scrolled onto my messages, and one of the boys had messaged me saying, oh, like, have you girls left? And so I've swiped off because I thought if he sees that, he's going to go crazy, like, he's going to be so angry. And he obviously said, what are you doing? So then he snatched my phone out of my hand and just went absolutely crazy. He was so angry, like saying, why would you do this to me? I've been running around all day for your birthday, getting your birthday stuff. And basically the next day he was taking me on like a surprise, and we got back to his, and like, I tried to leave. I was like, I don't want to be around you, you're scaring me, like, you're so angry. I was crying and crying and crying, and he just sort of like grabbed me like on my chest and like sort of around here, just sort of grabbing me to like, I think, get hold of me because I wanted to leave. And he was crying and I was crying, and then the next day I woke up and I had a hair appointment, and I went to my hair appointment. But that night I said to him, I want to go home, and he was like, if you want to go home, you can give me every penny I've spent on your birthday. Like, it was like he was so angry with me. But if I was angry with my boyfriend, for example, I would be like, do you know what, forget about the birthday surprise, you've really upset me, like, I don't want to go. But he was like, we're going. So I was just sort of like, he's so angry, but he still wants to go. And I went to my hair appointment, and I'm going to put a picture now on here. So this was me at my hair appointment. You can see that under my eyes, like, they are so, like, my face, I just look drained. Like, I just look so drained in this picture. Like, it makes me sad looking back at it. And then a picture as well of like my chest where it was like sort of bruised as well from where we'd like, yeah. And then this picture of me is me at the hotel that night, a couple hours later. I put makeup on, and to me, my memory of we had a good night, but putting that all aside, like, I felt so guilty. I was like, I cannot believe, like, this is all my fault. Like, I cannot believe I was such a bad, like, girlfriend. I've done so wrong by speaking to these boys. And like, my friend was like, Mia, like, nothing was wrong with that. Like, I would never go crazy if my boyfriend said to me, like, oh, you know, like, I was speaking to, there's a couple of girls in the bar, like, me and my friends said, like, we literally had a 10-minute conversation, and that's it. Like, I feel like that's what happens when you go out. You do mingle with people, and you should be able to have a conversation with people without them losing it. But I felt so guilty. So guilty. So yeah, anyway, that was left. And then the relationship carried on being controlling, really controlling. I couldn't do anything or see anyone or without him knowing about it. I couldn't go out with any of my friends with their boyfriends, and like, in case their boyfriend's friends were there. He also went as far to say that if a boy walked into a club that I'd ever kissed or anything, from even when I was really young, I'd have to leave. And then it was around Christmas, and it was a couple of days before Christmas, and it got worse and worse. Basically what I'm trying to say is that it does get worse. Like, it gets worse, because it started off with something that I'd done that I thought, oh my god, I'm so in the wrong, like, I can't believe, like, I've done that, to this story. So we went to Winter Wonderland at Christmas, and we had such a nice time. We were having drinks, and everything was really good, and we got on the tube on the way home. And obviously, as you know, the tube is so packed. Like, it's so packed. So I just got on, and anyway, about 5 minutes later, and I was sort of stood here on the tube, and he was leaning against the window, like about a metre away from me, and he called me over to him, and he looked angry, and I was like, what is he angry about? So I went over to him, and then when we got off the tube, he looked at me dead in the face, and he was so angry, and he's like, don't you ever stand so close to a man like that again. And I was like, what? And I couldn't even tell you what man I stood close to, but he said I got onto the tube and walked straight up to this man and put my bum on the man, which I would never have done on purpose, ever, obviously. But the tube's busy, I was just obviously making room for people. So I was so angry, I thought, you're being ridiculous. And so we were walking back from the station to his, and he was just so angry, and I didn't want to speak to him. I thought, I don't want to argue with you, like this argument's not going to go anywhere, it's going to get worse and worse, like I don't know what to say to you. And he just got so angry, and I remember sitting there saying, I want to go home, like I just want to go home. And he just got my keys and just threw them straight in my face, and like I can still remember the pain of my ear, like I had this ringing in my ear, and my whole ear, like it just felt like I'd been whacked by like a bat on my ear, like it was so painful. And then obviously I had a couple of drinks, so I couldn't have gone home anyway, so I stayed, went home the next day. And then again, I felt guilty. I thought, oh my God, like I can't believe I must have really stood close to a man on the tube, but I can't believe I've done that. So I ended up messaging him and saying, look, I am sorry. Like it's Christmas, so we're going to see each other. And so I ended up seeing him. And they were just smaller things that happened that at the time I just thought, oh God, like, you know, I made him so angry. But that's not normal, that's not right. And along with all of the controlling traits, it all adds up to just a very, very toxic, abusive relationship that I couldn't see at the time. But it's like I couldn't see it, but I knew it because I never once told my friends. I never once told anybody about it. I saw my friend, from when he threw my keys, I had a bruise a bit on my cheek. And I saw my friend the next day, and I just covered it with makeup. Like it was just, yeah. But I remember, I sit back now and look at the relationship and I think, wow, like it was so toxic and so abusive. But I remember being happy. And I think that's where I struggled to leave, because I remember being happy, because when we were good, we were good. And so it's very hard to leave a relationship. It was hard for me. And so that was that. And then this is when our relationship started to end. After Christmas, like there was sort of an event, so it was like my best friend's engagement. And so I didn't see him that weekend. And bear in mind, I would see him every Sunday. But what I mean by I didn't see him that weekend is I didn't see him on the Saturday. And he started getting angry with me, and he started getting really annoyed and was like, oh, I never get to spend time with you, like our relationship's like shit basically, like there's nothing left basically, like it's boring. And I was like, well, I've got a child, like you knew I had a child when I got with you, like I can't spend every weekend with you, I can't spend every weekend driving 4 hours each weekend to come up see you and go out for dinner, or you know. And don't get me wrong, he would come and see me and stuff, but like I can't, I'm a mum, and that's just the way it goes. Like I haven't got all the spare time in the world. He just said like, I want this, like we're done. And I was like, okay, like you're crazy. And I went on to like his Instagram, he deleted all the pictures of me and him. So I was like, and even though I look back and think we were happy, we did argue every day. We argued every day, even down to like we go out for dinner, and if I took a picture of my dinner and he wasn't in it, he'd say, why are you doing that? Like put a picture up of me now, because like what you're trying to do, make it out like like you're single. When I was angry, I was sort of angry thinking like, I cannot believe that we've been together this long and you're leaving me because I can't spend this time with you because I've got a child. And so yeah, so then that was just sort of left. And I then started getting girls messaging me saying, oh, I've had your boyfriend messaging me. And I said, oh, we're not together anymore. I've got people sending me his Tinder profile. And I was just so angry because I just thought like, how can you go from, I feel like I gave up a lot for him, you know? I feel like I sacrificed so much. I sacrificed so much time with my friends, and even with Malia, like all the times that I like, you know, spent with him that I could have been with her. Like granted, she was at her dad's house having the best time ever, which she would have been there anyway, but you know, like I was so angry. And I think with any breakup, like you get angry, don't you, at the start, and then after about a couple of weeks I felt sad, and I was like, I sort of went back again basically, and I was like, I know I am angry, but I do feel sad about him, like. So I think I called him and was just like, are we going to sort this out? And he was like, nope, like I'm gonna, you know, I'm going to go off to Dubai, I'm going to go do this, I'm going to do that. And I was like, okay, like fine. And it went on for about a week, and I thought, this is so unhealthy. Like I think I'm not joking, I lost a stone in a week. Like I was so upset. And I just thought like, this can't go on like this. Like it just can't, like this is just ridiculous. Like this is awful. So I just completely blocked his number and left. Like just left it, like that was it. He didn't want to be with me, and I thought, do you know what, I don't want to be with you either. So that was it was left. And then I think the thing is, these weeks, like it sounds like 4 weeks, 5, 6 weeks isn't a long time, but to me it felt like months. I started speaking to somebody else, and we got along really well. About 6 weeks later, I get, you know, a phone call and it's from him, and I'm like, like, I was baffled. I said, why are you calling me? And it was like nothing had ever happened. He was like, well, why can't I call you? And I was like, well, I was so confused. And I said, like, look, you need to leave me alone. Like, you literally, like, you hurt me really bad. Like, you really hurt me. Like, we're not together anymore. Like, I don't know why you're calling me. And like, that was it. His number was blocked. And then the next day, I think he rang me every like 5 minutes for the whole day. I tried to phone O2 to change my number, couldn't get through to him. It was just a massive problem. And in the end, I answered. I said to him, like, please, like, leave me alone. Like, when I was messaging you and saying, like, look, what's going on, you didn't want to know. And this, I feel like looking back now, it's just so hard because it's like that toxic trait again. It's like not having control. And I said to him in the end, I said, look, I'm seeing somebody else. Like, I'm speaking to somebody else. I don't want to speak to you anymore. And then he was really upset and he was crying, and I just said, please, like, leave me alone. Then the next day, I was just at home and my buzzer for my flat rang, and they came up and it was 3 big boxes of flowers, and it was just like different notes in each box saying, I'm so sorry, like, I love you. And all I'm saying to my friends, I'm saying, like, he's crazy. Like, he's absolutely crazy. How can he basically leave me? And, you know, he moved on with other girls and now suddenly he wants me back. Like, it was baffling. So I just put them to the side and I was like, so weird. And then the buzzer rang again and it was him. So he'd driven down at 2 hours. And I thought, I'm not letting him up, like, he's not coming into my flat, like, no way. So I thought, I'll go down and speak to him. So by the time I got down there, someone had obviously come into the block of flats and he'd walked in, and he was stood there and he was so upset. And I just said to him, like, I don't feel sorry for you because you left me, like, I've moved on, I'm happy, like, please leave me alone. And with that, he just obviously got so angry and he just sort of grabbed me and grabbed my house keys and he ran up into my flat. He grabbed my bag that he had brought me, and then he went into my kitchen drawer. He took a knife out of my drawer and he stabbed my sofa. I'm gonna put a picture of it. He stabbed my sofa in every cushion, just slit my sofa, and then he left. And so while he was doing that, I was ringing the police, like, crying. I had a couple red marks on, like, tiny red marks on my, like, neck because he'd, like, grabbed me to try and get my keys and stuff. And then the police, they arrested him on the motorway. And they got my keys back, they had my keys, and that was it. And those 2 weeks after that was like the worst 2 weeks ever. I felt this horrible feeling of guilt. I was like overwhelmed with guilt. And then I got a letter from him saying how sorry he was, like, he can't believe what he's done to me. And I just felt my whole body was just full of guilt. And I was thinking, I led him to this. Like, I made him do that. When I told him I was seeing somebody else, I should have listened to him. I should have, like, let him in and spoken to him. And I just felt so guilty. And then the whole thought of him, you know, like, us having to go to court over it, and I was just overwhelmed with guilt, basically. I just felt like it was all my fault. Everything that he's ever said to me all came back, like, everything he said to me before all, like, came back into my head, and I just felt so guilty. And so I basically dropped the charges. And I phoned him the day I dropped the charges, and I just said, look, I've dropped the charges, and it's not because I want to be back with you or anything. I just want to move on with my life. I don't want to have to go to court in 3 months' time and stand there and see you, and I want to move on with my life. And that was that. And then we went backwards and forwards a little bit, and I just said to him, like, the way you are isn't normal. And I know, and I think that I knew that I was okay, and I understood what was going on because I knew it wasn't normal. And I said to him, like, the way you are is not normal. Like, I can't live my life being controlled by someone. And that was it. We didn't speak again. And then about a month later, we spoke again. And he basically said, you know, I've got counselling, like, I'm changing, like, and everything you could possibly imagine a boy to say to you after a breakup, he said to me, like, you know, can't live without you. I'm so upset. And anyway, that went backwards and forwards for a week, and he just said, please come and see me. You know, please just come and see me, like, we'll see what happens. And we had loads of different conversations, and in the end I thought, do you know what, okay, I'm gonna go see him. Like, I'm gonna go see him. And, you know, so there was no reason really why I wanted to go see him. Like, I felt bad for him, yeah. I felt like we both deserved closure. And maybe part of me thought, you know, like, maybe he has really changed and he's gone to counselling and, you know, it could be better. So 2 days before I was supposed to go see him, I hurt my foot at the beach, and so he was like, I'll come pick you up. So I was like, okay, fine. So he drove 2 hours and came and picked me up, and then I went up there. And obviously, yeah, I guess I just planned to stay the night. Like, it was just, I obviously had feelings left for him, and yeah, and we were there, and at first it was fine, like we were having a couple of drinks and like everything was fine. Everything was fine, and then we got into the conversation of like other boys and stuff, and he asked me whether, you know, after I came down to your flat and obviously I did what I did to your sofa and everything, like, but did you carry on speaking to that boy you were seeing? So obviously I was like, yeah, like I did. I'm not speaking to him at the moment, but like, yeah, I did. And it's like his whole face changed. His whole face. And he just got really angry, and we started arguing, and we went backwards and forwards for ages, and he was just so angry, just saying loads of things. And then it all happened so quickly, but I think I was crying and I was saying, I want to go home, like, I want to go home, like, please just let me go home. And he's saying to me, like, no, like, you're going to stay, like, you're going to stay in the bed with me and you can go home tomorrow. And so I went into the spare room, and I think I was messaging my friend at the time, and I was messaging her backwards and forwards, and I was saying, oh, he's angry again. And he was so angry, and he just said, I want you to swear on your daughter's life that you'll never go back to that boy, even if me and you don't work out. And I remember thinking, like, that is such a crazy thing to ask somebody. Like, I remember thinking what? Like, what? How can I ever swear on someone's life that? And so I said to him, like, I can't swear on her life. And what happened between then and then what happened, like, it's so blurry, but he just came over and grabbed me, and just threw me to the floor and just started strangling me. And people said to me afterwards, like, why did you not fight him off? And I just remember just being completely, like, just numb. Like, I didn't do anything. I just laid there, and then when he got off of me, and I got up and I was crying, and he didn't have any, like, wow, I'm so sorry what I've just done, I lost my temper. He told me to get up and fix up because I looked a mess, because I'd been crying. And so I went back into the bathroom, and I was crying, and I was messaging my friend saying, like, he's done it again, like, I don't know what to do. And she was saying to me, like, may I call the police? And I said, I cannot call the police, like, I feel so scared, like, I don't know what to do, I feel so scared. And she was like, do you want me to call the police? And I said, tell it, yeah. And then I came out of the bathroom, and he took my phone off of me, and I said to him, like, I want to go home. And he was like, you're not going home. He's like, you can go home tomorrow, you're not going home today. And then I was crying. He said, like, well, I don't know why you're even crying. And I remember saying to him, like, you've hurt me, like, you scare me. And he was like, it was all me. He was like, you've done this, like, you've come here and then you've done this. And I was just crying. He said to me, like, come give me a hug, and I can't get into bed. And I was like, I don't want to hug you. And he said, I'll smash your phone out the window if you don't hug me. And it was horrible. And I just remember feeling so scared. Like, and out of all the times, you know, all the tiny times that, like, little things that happen, like, it was a completely different feeling. I felt so scared. Like, I felt scared to the point where I thought, like, I'm not going home. Like, I'm not, like, he's going to get angry again. What do I do? Do I just do everything he's telling me to? Do I try and run? Do I just sleep in the bed with him and go home tomorrow and never see him again? Like, what do I do? And, like, it was just so scary. And obviously by this point my friend called the police, obviously from Southampton, and it felt so quick, but I think about an hour went past by the time she called them to when they got there, because I think it had to go through from, like, Southampton to, like, their police, and it was just, and basically, like, it was going on and on, and I remember just shaking, thinking, I'm so scared, like, what if he does it again? Like, what if he does it? Like, I'm so scared. And he went into the bathroom, and I just grabbed my bag and I just ran. I ran down, like, 6 flights. He lived really high up, and I ran down, like, 6 flights of stairs. And by the time I got to, like, in the middle maybe, he, like, grabbed hold of me, because he'd run after me, grabbed my phone. But as he grabbed hold of me, the police ran up the stairs, and they took him and they put me behind a door. And yeah, and I gave a statement and everything, and then someone came and picked me up my friend had to come pick me up from Southampton. She had to drive 2 hours because obviously I hadn't driven there myself. And I'm going to put pictures of what my neck looked like now. Yeah, it was the scariest moment ever, and, like, it's so hard to talk about, because even now, even now, and this is why I want to talk about this, because I feel like any girls that are going through anything similar to that, any girls, like, there's a guilt feeling that I don't know if everybody feels when they're going through something with their partner, but I felt it, and that guilt feeling is what led me to the decisions I made. That guilt feeling made me want to drop the charges. The guilt feeling made me want to go back because I felt so guilty. And it was like, no matter what he did, no matter what, I felt so guilty. And he could do anything. And I still have these glimmer of good memories that I had. Like, I just remember feeling like I don't feel like it anymore. I'm just crying because like it's taken me so long to even be able to talk about it, but I just felt so guilty that like, thinking, oh, what have I said? Oh, I must have said something wrong. Like, it's my fault. Oh, I made him angry. And even after everything, like, at that point, like, not anymore, but at that point, like, I still missed him. And this is why, like, I feel like people ask so much, well, why did you stay? Why would you go back? And I think that's not the question that should be asked. Like, you can't explain why you go back. You can't. I can't tell you why I went back. And I think this was so misunderstood that like people would just, from an outside point of view, would look at a girl that is going through something with their partner and being, you know, like abused every day and think, what was she doing? Why would she go back? And I think that's why people don't leave, because people don't understand. Sorry, I think, I don't know what I cry about now. I don't cry about me anymore. Like, I'm not crying because I feel upset about me. I cry about other girls that go through it, because if I didn't have that support around me of my friends, like saying you cannot, like after that I knew like I'll never speak to him again ever. But like even all the smaller things, when I eventually told my friends, like if I didn't have that support I probably would have gone back, and I don't know what would have happened. And it makes me so sad thinking about girls that don't have that support. And this is why I wanted to do this video, because it's like when you are in a domestic, you know, like an abusive relationship, there's so many feelings, and I want to talk about that guilt feeling, because if you are in a relationship like that and you feel guilt and that's why you go back, like you can feel guilt and not go back. I don't know if anyone understands what I mean by that, but I mistook that guilt feeling for needing to go back and needing to speak to him and needing to drop the charges and keep going back. But that guilt feeling is just a feeling that you feel because you're human, and that is so normal. And I feel like it's so hard because a lot of people probably will feel that guilt feeling and think, you know, oh, I miss him, or oh, it's my fault, and then they're going to go back. But I think I was reading like statistics like a couple of days ago, and I think it's two women a week are like murdered by their partner in the UK. And there's so many trigger warnings, because my relationship started out just from the controlling aspects getting worse and worse, to that, to obviously me being, and don't get me wrong, it's still a journey. I still think about it a lot. The next day, like, I remember I stayed at my friend's house for a couple of days, and I just had this tight, horrible feeling in my chest, and she was like, it's probably anxiety. Like, I felt awful. And even months after, I'd sit and think, I feel bad. I feel bad that he could potentially go to prison over this. I think it's just that guilty feeling that I was made to feel like that, always that was then just drilled into me. But I just want to like make it so clear that if you feel guilty, that is not a reason to go back. And I know how hard it is to speak to someone. I know how hard it is. So I'm not going to sit here and say, right, please, you need to like go to the police, or you need to do this. Obviously, please go to the police. But if you physically feel like you can't do that, I understand that feeling. At least just open up to somebody, just one person. Because I feel like whenever I do see things about domestic violence online and things like that, it's like, you know, you need to open up to like you need to ring the police and everything like that, but that can be so scary. And I was fortunate that, you know, in my situation I didn't have a family with him, I didn't financially rely on him, although he made me feel like I needed to. That it was, I didn't have that tie to him, and I still found it very, very difficult to leave. So my heart goes out to anybody that does have that sort of tie to someone and is in that situation. And I feel like it is such a big process and journey to get over something like that. You don't just get over it overnight. You don't just, because at the same time, like, a breakup is hard enough to get over as it is, because you miss that person and you think about that person every day. So to then feel like you're forced to, it's so hard to explain. But I just feel like, I hope this video, like, even if some of you feel like your boyfriend's a bit, or your partner's just a bit controlling, like, it can get worse. These are trigger warnings, and I'm going to put at the end, like underneath, I'm going to put like charities that you can go to, and there's so many lines as well. I'm going to put like the call lines that you can go to, because there are so many people you can speak to, and I feel like if, you know, people do, I just hope this helps people, because I feel like I've completely exposed my whole entire life, that people will probably think, why have you done that? Like, you can just keep it private. But I feel like if I've got the platform that I've got, why would I not do this to even just help one person? Why should I be ashamed to speak out about what happened to me when so many other girls a day go through what I went through, that find it hard to talk about? But obviously I know this video has been really long, because obviously it's me explaining it, but I feel like I will do more videos about, like, sort of overcoming. This is just obviously my story and sharing my story, and, you know, trigger warnings and feeling isolated and things like that. But I feel like I do want to do another video of overcoming it, overcoming relationships that, you know, that you, like, domestic, you know, abusive relationships that you've overcome, how to overcome it, and what I did and things like that. But I'm not going to drag on for a whole hour, because you're probably all sick of hearing me. But yeah, I've been so nervous to do this, and I hope I don't get any, you know, hate about it, because it's a really big thing for me to do. So basically the reason I'm doing it now as well is he pled guilty in court to ABH, and then on Friday, last Friday, he was sentenced to a year in prison. And also I've got an indefinite restraining order, so he can't contact me at all. And I feel like it was finally the end of something that had been in my head for so long, but also at the same time, I feel like I felt like I was going to feel more of closure. I felt like I was going to have more closure than that. I felt like once the court case was over, it would just be done. I'd be like, okay, I can move on with my life. And I don't think it hasn't been like that, but it's like so many steps in the right direction. I was offered as well sort of like a, not reconciliation, but you can, through like the police and everything, you can go to them and you can speak to them, and I guess you can get an apology and you can get closure. For me, like, that was just something I didn't want to do. I just don't feel like there's anything to say about it. I don't think there's anything that anyone can say. But yeah, but I really hope that me opening up about this maybe will help somebody, whether it's, you know, you sit and think your boyfriend is a bit controlling about what you wear and you keep an eye on it, or, you know, you're going through whatever you're going through and it's similar to, or in any sort of aspect and it's abusive, that, like, I felt like I couldn't leave, and I promise you, you can leave and you can be happier. And I just think, please, like, if there's anything you take from this video and you feel like you are in a relationship like that, just tell one person, even if it's a friend that you go to and you say, I'm in this relationship, I don't feel like I'm ready to leave, but I just want to tell you what's been going on. At least you're opening up to somebody. And obviously the biggest advice I can give you is to phone the police, speak to the charities, and yeah. But I hope this video does help somebody, and if you do want to have other videos like of advice and things like that, because I feel like I've come such a long way since then, then please like just comment below if you want any more videos, or yeah, I don't know, I feel like I'm a completely different person in this video because I just feel really like, I don't know, on edge maybe. I need to go get Malia from school in a minute, but I just pray that it does help somebody, and I wish and I hope girls, and the biggest thing is just us girls should be able to speak out. I spent so long thinking I'm not going to talk about that, like, oh god, I couldn't, but now I think no, like we need to, as women, we need to be able to speak out and have a voice. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I really do hope that it helps somebody, and my messages are always open to anybody. If I don't see it, send another one so it comes back up to the top, because I'll get quite a few messages coming through. But I'm always here, and we can get through it together, girls. So I'll see you soon.